Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Jamie. We're so glad to have you here today. Today, we're tackling one of the most common challenges for English learners: how to speak English confidently.
That's right. A lot of people get stuck in their heads when it comes to speaking, whether it's because they're scared of making mistakes or they don't feel like they have enough vocabulary to express themselves.
Exactly. It can feel like there's a big gap between where you are and where you want to be. But today, we're going to break down that fear and give you some simple, practical strategies to get you speaking with more confidence.
We'll also talk about how to get rid of the pressure you might feel and turn speaking into something fun and natural.
By the end of this episode, you'll have a toolkit of tips and techniques that you can use right away to improve your speaking skills.
We want you to leave this podcast feeling motivated and ready to start speaking more in English, whether you're having a casual chat with a friend or giving a presentation at work.
So, let's dive into it and start talking about how you can overcome the biggest challenge: getting started with speaking English.
Okay, so Jamie, let's talk about the fear of speaking. Why do you think this is such a huge obstacle for so many learners?
It's one of the biggest reasons people get stuck, Alex. Most people are afraid of making mistakes, especially when speaking a language. They don't want to sound silly or be misunderstood, which makes them hesitate to speak at all.
Yeah, I totally get that. I used to feel the same way. When I was learning, I was terrified of speaking because I thought people would laugh at my accent or judge my grammar.
It's natural to have that fear. But let me tell you something. Native speakers make mistakes too. It's part of learning and communication. We all mess up. The important thing is that you keep trying.
Exactly. In fact, the more mistakes you make, the faster you'll learn. Mistakes are just opportunities for growth. I always say, don't be afraid to mess up because that's where the magic happens.
I like that. And think about it. Native speakers don't always speak perfectly either. They might make mistakes with their grammar, pronunciation, or even forget words sometimes. But we understand each other because we focus on the message.
Right. Communication is about getting your point across, not about speaking perfectly. That's why it's important to focus on progress, not perfection.
One way to overcome the fear is to practice with people who are supportive, whether they're language exchange partners, friends, or even teachers. Just make sure it's someone who's encouraging and understands your learning.
Exactly. And if you make a mistake, don't worry about it. Just keep going. It's better to keep talking than to stay quiet, because the more you practice, the better you'll get.
And remember, confidence comes from practice. If you don't speak, you'll never get better. So the first step to overcoming the fear is to take that leap and start speaking.
That's why our first tip is don't let fear hold you back. Embrace mistakes as part of the journey and keep speaking as much as you can. Okay, so now that we've talked about overcoming fear, let's dive into the next challenge. How do you actually start a conversation in English?
Great question. Starting is often the hardest part for most learners. But here's the secret. You don't have to start with complicated sentences or vocabulary. Just keep it simple.
I agree. One of the best ways to start is with small talk. You can ask simple questions about everyday topics like the weather, people's hobbies, or what they're doing today.
Exactly. For example, when I meet someone new, I might say, "How's your day going?" Or "What have you been up to lately?" These are easy, open-ended questions that invite conversation.
And don't forget about questions that help you connect with people. Asking about their interests or experiences is a great way to keep the conversation going.
Yes. Another good tip is to listen actively. Show that you're interested in what the other person is saying and follow up with more questions. For example, if someone says, "I love playing tennis," you could say, "Oh, that's awesome. How long have you been playing?"
Active listening makes the conversation feel more natural, and it gives you opportunities to practice using new words and phrases.
That's the key. Start small, Ask simple questions and listen. Don't worry if you don't know what to say next. Just let the conversation flow.
Exactly. And if you get stuck, don't panic. You can always ask the person to repeat something or just smile and say, "Sorry, I didn't catch that."
It's okay to ask for clarification. Native speakers will appreciate that you're trying your best.
So the second tip is keep the conversation simple, ask questions, and practice listening actively. The more you speak, the more natural it will feel. All right, now let's talk about one of the biggest concerns, vocabulary. Many learners think they need to know thousands of words to speak fluently, but that's not true at all.
Exactly. The key isn't how many words you know, but how well you can use the words you already have.
Totally. For example, if you learn the word delicious, that's great. But if you also learn the phrase delicious food or delicious meal, it becomes much more useful.
Right. It's all about phrases. If you learn the phrase, I'm hungry, it's much easier to remember and use than just the word hungry.
And when you're learning vocabulary, it's important to practice using the words in context. Don't just memorize lists. Instead, try to use the words in sentences.
Yes, I always encourage learners to try using new words in conversations or writing exercises. The more you use the words, the more natural they will become.
And another way to build vocabulary is by reading or listening to content in English. Watch movies, read books, or listen to podcasts in English. This will expose you to new words and show you how they're used in real-life situations.
Absolutely. The more you expose yourself to English, the more words and phrases will stick with you.
Remember, you don't need to know every word in the dictionary. It's better to focus on the most common words and phrases that are useful for your daily life.
So, our third tip is focus on learning useful phrases, not just individual words, and practice using them in real situations.
Now let's talk about the importance of regular practice. A lot of learners struggle with consistency. Sometimes they'll practice for a few days, then stop for weeks.
Consistency is key. If you want to get better at speaking, you need to practice regularly, even if it's just for a few minutes every day.
Exactly. The more you expose yourself to English, the more you'll internalize it. Even if you're only listening to a podcast or repeating a sentence, that's practice.
And remember, you don't need to spend hours at a time studying. Just make it a habit. You could listen to an English song while you're cooking or review vocabulary during your commute.
That's the beauty of language learning. You can integrate it into your daily routine. Even small doses of English each day add up over time.
Right. And another great way to practice is by having a regular language exchange sessions with a friend or a partner. That way, you'll have real conversations that can help you improve.
Consistency doesn't have to mean formal study sessions. It can be casual practice that fits into your life.
And the more you practice, the more confident you'll feel. Speaking English will become just like any other skill, something you do without even thinking about it.
So the fourth tip is practice regularly, even if it's just a few minutes every day. Make English a part of your everyday life.
Let's talk about pronunciation for a moment. It's something that a lot of learners worry about, right?
Yeah, for sure. But the truth is, your pronunciation will improve the more you speak. One of the best ways to improve your pronunciation is by listening to native speakers, like through podcasts, movies, or YouTube videos.
That's such a great point. You need to hear how words are pronounced in context, and you'll start to notice the rhythm and intonation of real English speakers.
Exactly. A huge part of pronunciation isn't just the individual sounds, but also the rhythm and flow of the language. English has a musical quality to it. When to stress words, how to sound natural, things like that.
Right. And you don't just have to listen. You can repeat after native speakers. Mimic their tone, rhythm, and even their body language. It's a great way to get used to the sound of English and how to pronounce words correctly.
One technique I really love is called shadowing. It's a fun and effective way to improve both your pronunciation and fluency.
Shadowing is awesome. Basically, you listen to a short video or audio clip, maybe a podcast, a movie scene, or even a news report, and then try to repeat it as quickly and accurately as possible. You'll want to copy the speaker exactly, their speed, tone, and even the pauses in their speech.
What's so cool about shadowing is that it forces you to pay attention to every single word and its pronunciation, while also helping you get more comfortable with speaking at a natural pace.
Exactly. It's not just about copying words, it's about mastering the flow of speech in English. And the best part is that it's fun. You're practicing in real time and it feels almost like a game.
And don't worry if your accent isn't perfect. Everyone has their own accent, and that's okay. What matters most is that you're clear and people can understand you.
Absolutely. Accents are part of what makes us unique. What matters is communication, and if you're being understood, you're doing it right. Plus, English speakers will appreciate the effort you put in.
And let's not forget about the power of using a mirror. Practice speaking in front of a mirror so you can see the movements of your mouth and how your facial expressions change as you speak.
Good tip, Jamie. By watching yourself, you can also improve your articulation. It's like having a personal coach right there with you.
So, to summarize, listen to native speakers, shadow them, and practice speaking out loud in front of a mirror. Pronunciation is something you get better at over time, and the more you work on it, the clearer your speech will become.
And don't forget to enjoy the process. It's all part of the fun of learning a new language.
At the end of the day, confidence is one of the biggest hurdles in speaking English.
Definitely. When you first start learning a language, it's easy to feel insecure or nervous. But I promise you, the more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
And confidence doesn't come from being perfect, it comes from knowing that you've tried. The more you speak, the more comfortable you get.
Exactly. I remember when I first started speaking with others in English, I was so nervous. I had all these fears in my head. What if they don't understand me? What if I make a mistake?
I was the same way. But the more I practiced, the more I realized that people weren't judging me for my mistakes. They were just happy that I was speaking their language, and that's what really mattered.
That's such an important realization. No one is perfect, and most people are just happy to have a conversation with you. It's a big achievement every time you step outside of your comfort zone.
I always tell my students, celebrate the small victories. For example, did you have a conversation with a native speaker today? That's a huge win.
And it doesn't matter if the conversation was only a few minutes long. Every conversation, no matter how short, is a victory. It's progress. So when you're starting to feel nervous, just remind yourself of how much you've already accomplished.
Yes, and if you're feeling a bit unsure, start by speaking in low-pressure situations. Practice with friends or even practice talking to yourself in the mirror. Get comfortable with speaking before jumping into more challenging conversations.
Exactly. Speaking to yourself is a great way to build confidence. When you hear your voice in English, it's like training your brain to be more comfortable with it.
And it's not just about speaking to others. When you practice speaking out loud by yourself, you're already preparing yourself for when you do have that conversation.
And guess what? You don't need to know everything. Nobody knows everything. What matters is that you're willing to try.
So when you feel nervous, just take a deep breath and remind yourself, I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm doing my best. That's the mindset that will help you build confidence.
And always remember, you're doing amazing. Keep going, and you'll be amazed at how much you improve every single day.
Well, that's it for today's episode. We've covered a lot, and I hope you're feeling more confident about speaking English.
Remember, it's okay to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of the journey. The most important thing is to keep speaking and practicing.
Absolutely. It's like building a muscle. The more you work on it, the stronger it gets.
And don't forget to surround yourself with English every day, whether through music, movies, or even just simple conversations.
Exactly. Consistency is key. And with practice, you'll see improvement faster than you think. Every time you try, you're getting one step closer to fluency.
And remember, Confidence comes with time. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel to speak English.
We're so proud of all of you for taking the time to listen and improve your skills. It's not easy, but it's so worth it.
You're all doing great. Keep going, and soon enough, you'll be speaking English with confidence and ease.
Thanks for tuning in today. We can't wait to hear about your progress.
Keep practicing, keep improving, and we'll see you next time.
Take care and happy learning.